In this episode, we'll take a look at my sound cart as of early 2024. And if this feels to you like a flex or a belly button gazing type of thing, I don't want that experience for you. So you're dismissed. You don't have to hang around for this. For those that are just curious because they want to see what a sound cart, sound bags setup looks like, this is just one example of how I do it. And let me give you a context. I'm actually a director of video production for a company called Webflow, but prior to that, I actually did some freelance sound work, so location work mostly for commercial pieces, short films, worked on some kind of lifestyle pieces, a variety of different things like that. And so I used to record with the Sound Devices 633 when the 8 series came out. I upgraded in 2019 to the 888, and that's what this cart is built around now. So kind of that's the background. I haven't done a lot of location work lately, and so some of this gear is a little bit more aged, but it still works beautifully. And let me just walk you through some of the things here. So first of all, it's built around the 888, which is a kind of the mid-size recorder from Sound Devices for their professional line, their highest level line, the current generation. So on the high end, you have the Scorpio, and then on the smaller end, you have the 833. If I were to buy again today, I would probably buy an 833 instead of an 888. 888 is a little bit overkill for most of the work I do. I've had, typically for me, like the most number of channels I'll have is 6, and an 833 could handle that. So I'll have 5 channels of wireless and 1 boom mic, and that's the most I've ever done. So that gives you an idea of the kind of productions I'm working on. I'm not working on television shows for the most part, at least not mainstream television or bigger budget television shows. I'm not working on feature films with large budgets. I'm working on kind of that small to medium budget type of work. So just to give you context. Attached to the 888, we have the SL2, which is a slot system for wireless receivers. And in this case, we have 2 A20 receivers. The slot system can handle up to 8 channels of wireless audio, and it sends the audio from those receivers into the 888 in pure digital form. So it's not doing any sort of conversion. It's not sending an analog signal. It's all digital. And in our case, we actually have these A20 receivers, which are dual channel receivers. So I have a total of 4 channels of audio going in digitally directly into the 888. And that doesn't take up any of the analog inputs on the side here. So those are still open and available. So that's where we get our wireless into those 2 antennas or those 2 receivers. It is also, of course, a true diversity wireless system. And in addition to having 2 antennae, which even antenna diversity system have, it also has, it's true diversity, meaning there are separate radios, receivers for each of the antenna as well. And in our case, we actually have external antenna connected here. And let me just pan up and show that to you. So this is the RF Venue Diversity Fin antenna. It is actually 2 antenna in one. First, you have the diversity fin here, which is a log periodic dipole array, which means it actually has, it's a piece of plastic, and it has multiple antennae of different lengths on there. It can receive signals between 470 and 698 megahertz, which is most of the usable range here in the United States. Actually, it's even, some of it's not unlicensed use. Some of it's licensed use, and some of it is available for unlicensed use. But in any case, it covers a range that most of the production sound mixers will use here in the United States. In addition to the log periodic dipole array, which is the fin, you also have another dipole that's oriented horizontally. So the fin antenna is oriented vertically, so that when the transmitters are oriented like this on the talent or like this on the talent, in most cases, it is going to be the fin antenna that will be receiving them. But if for whatever reason they're oriented horizontally, or they get maybe knocked out of position a little bit, once they get into more of a horizontal position, under most circumstances, the true diversity system will then switch over to this dipole, which is oriented horizontally. And that's actually, if I turn it here, you'll see it is a dipole, in fact. So it comes out on both sides there. All right, so for control, we have our iPad down here. Let's switch back down there. All right, for control, I do have my iPad Pro here, along with a keyboard, and this allows me A little bit of ease of use, and also makes it much easier to enter metadata between takes or for each take if I need to do that. So I can literally just tap on something here and just use the keyboard to change what the notes are here. So for this, I'm going to say, for example, the director. So if the director called, hey, that's the one, then we could actually mark that right there. You can also change it for any of the existing takes. So if I come over here, I have my entire take list, and I can go back and change any of those, change any of the metadata, including the names of each of the channels, what's on each channel, notes, take numbers, so on and so forth. So I can change all of that. I have a variety of different views here. On this, the orange ones are the faders and the green ones are the trim. So I can adjust both of those right here on the mixing surface. The nice thing too about this is that I can move multiple faders and or trims at the same time. So that's a trick, for example, with a computer. If you've ever tried to mix on a computer with an app on your computer, you get one mouse pointer and you can move one thing at a time. But here on this, I can actually move multiple at a time. So if I can just show you really quickly here. So that's a really nice thing about the iPad, is that you have multiple fingers, you can move multiple things at the same time. What else can I tell you? You can see we're recording right now. I can also make a few other changes here. We can go in here to choose how kind of the display works, what's shown, what's hidden. I have all my transport controls over here. I can even create sound reports here, enter all of the metadata for the sound report. In addition to showing channels 1 through 8, I can show 9 through 16. And I can actually show channels 1 through 16 all at the same time if I wanted to do that. I can show my buses. The 888 has multiple buses that you can route to. And of course, I also have an output screen, so I can adjust the faders on any of my outputs as well, which is pretty nice. So that's the iPad app. That works pretty nicely. You'll see here I've got a cable that comes out and is plugged into our battery distribution system. Let me just talk about power for a minute. I'm going to pull that out for now, just so you can see a little better. The entire bag is powered through the power distribution system. This is a PSC triple play. It's an older model, actually. I think they've changed the design a little bit. This readout right here is the voltage that is being fed to the battery distribution system. So by that, you can usually judge where you're at in terms of overall charge. My main battery here is a 1 kilowatt battery, made actually for a light, has two 4-pin XLR outputs, and I had Gotham Sound made a custom cable for me that would take the power from the battery and feed that into the PSC, power distribution system. So this battery will easily power this for a very good long time. I can usually get through at least 6 hours, even if I'm using all channels of the wireless. So that works pretty nicely. The nice thing about the PSC Triple Play is that I can feed 3 power sources into it. So you'll notice I have 2 additional 98 watt hour smart batteries here, and those both feed in here at the same time as well. So that means I can hot swap. If any of these batteries are getting low, I can pop off the cup, the receiver cup, and change one of these out without losing power to the entire system, which is nice. All right, so that's power. You'll notice here just a couple of other things about the cart. This shelf here with the iPad is retractable, so I can go ahead and tuck that back in when it's time to move. And another thing that's nice is I have this little friction arm off on the side here that includes a little board here that holds the script. Got a headphone little hook over there. And then back here in the back, we've got a boom pole holder. So there's a cup down by the wheel, and then a little kind of rubberized retention clip up here that holds that in place. Going back to the wireless system, don't remember what I said so far or not, because I've done a couple takes here, but this is the A20 transmitter from Sound Devices. The nice thing about this system, the A20 system, these are A20 receivers. They actually, I bought originally A10 receivers, and then back in 2022, Sound Devices had a program where you could send in your A10 receivers and they would retrofit them to make them A20 receivers. And one of the big features on the A20 system, including the A20 Mini, is that gain is not set on the transmitter, it's actually set at the receiver. So you're sending a low-level signal from the transmitter to the receiver with plenty of headroom, and then you gain up here at the receiver. So if you're in a situation where you need to quickly change the gain or the trim on one of your wireless packs, you can do it right here, actually here in the right here at your cart, as opposed to having to go to the talent, unbury it from the wardrobe, and make the changes there, or even walk up with a Bluetooth app and make the change there. You can actually do it right here, which is nice. My other transmitters, the other 4 transmitters that I have, are all A10s. I don't do enough work to justify upgrading to the A20s just yet, but hopefully once I get into, if I do get back into the game a little bit more heavily, there could come a point where it would make sense to upgrade those to A20s as well. On the output side, if I do have to send audio, I don't generally have to send audio because a lot of times I am doing everything. But when I'm not, when I am the sound mixer and I do need to send audio, say for example, to a director or a producer, I do have the new Deity Theos system. So I use a transmitter here, or that's what I will be using just starting as of about a month ago, using that to transmit over to a receiver that the director or producer is wearing with a set of headphones. So that's essentially my kind of budget IFB system, if you will. With this cart here is actually a SoundCart Mini, and this is a British company. I don't even know if they make this sound the same. I think they probably iterated on this design, but it's a pretty modular system. You can customize it how you want. You can adjust the levels of the shelves. There's a rack mount unit if you wanted to do that. In my case, most of the work I'm doing, I can leave it on the cart. If I do need to take the bag off the cart, it just is a matter of removing 2 bungee cords that's holding it up here at the top. And I can then put it on a harness and go away with it. An 888 is a lot to carry, to be honest. This gets pretty heavy, even with a good harness. I've got the Orca. This is the Orca, I think OR35, if I remember right. But I've got the first generation Orca harness, and it works pretty well. I guess the new version is supposed to be even better in terms of back support, but in any case, I try not to have to wear the bag for too long at any given time. And most times I can actually work from the cart, which is nice. Over here you can see this is the Bluetooth antenna, and that allows the app to communicate with the mixer itself. A little bit difficult to see, but there are 2 inflatable wheels on the back. I think they're, I don't remember their size, somewhere around, I think they're around 12 to 15 inches, 16 inches. And then there are 2 small casters on the front with locking mechanisms, so you can lock it in place as well. And then there's also the handle on the back here that has wheels on it too. So if I need to lie it down horizontally on the ground for whatever reason for transport, I can do that. And that's really useful for getting it in and out of the truck or in my case, SUV in between jobs. So there's a look at my bag in early 2024. If you have any questions, we'd invite you to join us over on our live streams every Sunday over at the Curtis Judd audio channel. If you want to be informed about those and what the topics will be, you can, of course, subscribe to the channel. I usually post the topic on Saturdays. The live streams are on Sundays. Or you can sign up at school.learnlightandsound.com, and I'll send you an email with the topic. You can submit your questions ahead of time, and then we'll address those in the live stream. In the meantime, get out there and make some great sound.